Hi everyone, I'm Chris.
And I'm Sally.
And welcome to our podcast on happiness.
Happyish, in fact. So I'm Sally, I'm Chris's wife, well into my 60s, as we've been together for about 40 years now. And we're just interested in this subject of happiness.
Yes, so I've been earning a living talking about time management, mostly running training courses and things. And it dawned on me after I've been teaching time management for 20 years that what is the point of time management and what's the point of doing anything? And it's really only worth doing it if it makes you happier. And so happiness appeared on my radar as part of time management. I started thinking about happiness and investigating it. And it's quite a tricky but fascinating and important subject.
Yeah.
And in parallel, you've also been investigating happiness, haven't you? Much more from the philosophy point of view.
Yes, I've been investigating it from a much more spiritual point of view, a bit of Hindu, Eastern philosophy, what happiness means for taking us forward, maybe into the next life,
yes,
where we could meet each other again, if we're lucky.
And in this podcast, we're going to be talking about practical things you can do. How can you actually get more happiness into your life? What can you actually do? But of course, you have to also understand happiness. So we're going to have episodes covering all kinds of things like negative emotions and the meaning of life and all sorts of stuff, aren't we?
Is love the natural in-between? All those kind of things.
Yes. We come at things from different angles.
Yeah.
So I think somewhere in between my logical view and your spiritual view probably lies the correct answer.
Yeah. So we just want to have some conversations about it to share what we think.
Yeah. And I hope this podcast makes a difference to people listening if it just makes people ever so slightly happier. So, which is really why we called it happyish, isn't it? We called it happyish because you're never happy. But actually, that's not really true at all. And I think we both are. Our friends do say, why are you always so cheerful?
Yeah.
And I don't quite know why that is,
It's just because you're amusing all the time.
No,
it's like living with a stand-up comedian.
Oh, did we mention we are married? I think we did.
We did.
Yeah. But I think happyish is a really good name because I don't think you can ever be 100% happy. All you can do is be a bit happier than you were and learn to be quite happy or reasonably. So I think if we can just get people to be a little bit happier than they were.
And it is a transient thing. Happy, not happy, it comes along together. So there's plenty to talk about. If
somebody said to me, are you happy? I'd probably say, happy-ish.
Well, you definitely will now.
Yeah, exactly. And why yet another podcast on happiness? There are a few out there. There aren't many, actually. I've been listening to all the other ones, and there aren't that many. I just think it's the most important subject.
Yeah.
I mean, why do anything if it doesn't make you happy? These podcasts on how to set up your own business or make money, why would you want to do that unless it makes you happy? And in fact, we will come to whether money makes you happiness in a future episode, won't we?
Okay, yes, we will. But also, you're always interested in another person's point of view. Once you're interested in happiness, you want to know how to get it. How have they got it? What have they been doing?
So I think there is room in the world for one more podcast on happiness. And we're going to be pretty scientific when we're going to explore one practical idea in each episode.
Okay.
I think that's the plan, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's the plan.
We're going to kick it around. We're going to see if we disagree and what the angles are on it.
And take it in turns, choosing what the subject is going to be.
Yes, I'd like to say at this point, I've looked at some of the things Sally's chosen and I don't know what on earth I'm going to say about those.
Well, you might learn something. You never know. And
the only other thing to cover in this introductory episode, we just thought we would say, what is happiness?
Okay.
Have you got
Do you want my definition?
Yeah, let's go for yours first.
My definition is freedom from desire.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So because happiness is quite momentary, you have that moment where you have everything you need. And you might not have everything you need forever, but that's my current definition of happiness.
So when I get that watch that I've been looking for secondhand, I'm happy for a really short time because I'm free from desire of watches.
Absolutely.
Until I then spot another one that I really like.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then the point is to extend that happiness so that you don't need another watch. You just are happy with what you've got.
Keep getting more.
Or just keep getting more. That sounds more like you, I think.
Yeah, that's interesting. Freedom from desire. That's quite hard to achieve. Yeah, I've got a definition of happiness.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. It's not a very good definition in terms of just a few words.
Right.
I read somewhere, I think it's right, that there are two types of happiness, actually.
Okay.
There's hedonistic happiness and eudaimonic happiness. Let me see if I can get this right, because you know more about it, I think.
Okay.
So hedonistic happiness is where you just go for instant pleasure.
Yeah.
So it could be eating chocolate, or it could be dancing, or it could be zooming down a hill on a bicycle or something like that.
Yeah.
So you've got hedonistic happiness, which is great, but you can't really sustain it. If you lived your whole life hedonistically, you'd be worn out. It's just not sustainable. And also there's the hedonic treadmill where you want more and more. So buying watches, for example, is hedonistic because
definitely.
It's a very short-term hit, and you always want a better one, and you're never satisfied. And it's the same with clothes, shoes, or handbags, for example. You always want one more. And so the hedonic treadmill means that hedonistic happiness doesn't really work, although having bits of it every now and then, why not? It's really hot while we're filming this, and having a coffee will be a little bit of hedonism, just to drink perhaps an iced coffee or whatever.
That would be better.
Have a coffee. Here is one.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've got the hot coffee. Can't do cold coffee for some reason.
So we've got hedonistic happiness. And a lot of people think that's what happiness is, and they just chase hedonism. And they think if they had money, they could afford endless hedonism of, staying in fantastic hotels on holiday. But, you always want a better hotel, and you always want more, and it doesn't really work. The other one is eudaimonic happiness. And eudaimonia is a Greek word meaning something like being satisfied with your life. And so eudaimonic happiness is to do with being comfortable and satisfied, and kind of looking back and thinking, I did that. So we went on a walk to Everest Base Camp, didn't we?
Yes, we did some years ago.
Which you did easily, and I really struggled with.
Well.
And at the time, I just thought, this is the opposite of hedonism. This is mad. I was exhausted, frozen. It was just, And I kept thinking every night when we huddled up in our freezing cold sleeping bag, I thought, I could be on a beach in the Maldives with somebody feeding me grapes and pina coladas. Why am I doing? But now, when I look back, I think, what a brilliant trip, and I'm really glad I did it. And it makes me happy to think back. The fact that I'm not there now. No, the fact that we did it, we achieved it.
Yeah.
So kind of satisfaction from achievement is a type of happiness. And so it's almost the reverse, because we went through a bit of suffering at the time, or I did, but then we can look back and get happiness forever for the fact that we did it. Like writing a book as well, it's pain at the time, but afterwards you think, I did that. I wrote that. That book is on Amazon.
Yes.
And I think, is that what eudaimonic happiness is?
Yes. But I think they both fit into my freedom from desire idea.
Tell us about that.
Well, just because you've the hedonistic thing, you're doing it to feed your desire for whatever.
Yes.
And
to
so
get rid of that desire,
to satisfy that desire. And the eudaimonic, you're doing it to satisfy the desire of wanting an adventure, or just lying in your back garden in the sunshine, or just being happy with where you are. You're letting go of your desires to buy another watch.
So I've been to Kathmandu and I've been to Everest Base Camp. So I've satisfied those desires, which were on my list for ages and I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And they were great. I mean, Kathmandu, I'd really recommend.
Yeah.
Walking to Everest Base Camp if you're fit.
You always make it sound like
it was
such a terrible
it was a brilliant,
thing.
Amazing trip and a great adventure. I'm so glad I did it.
Yeah.
Would I do it again? I'd probably not, but I definitely would recommend doing it.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing about it. So you're right. I now am free from the desire to do that.
Yeah.
And do I wish I never had that desire? No, I'm glad I had the desire and I'm glad I went there and did it. But I guess with Buddhism, the idea is to be completely free from all desire, isn't it? That's what they teach. I quite like having the desires and then satisfying them.
Well, you can't be completely free of all your desires, because you have to desire to breathe. You have to desire to live. Yeah.
Well, later on, I think we must do an episode on goals. Is it a good idea to have something you're working towards?
Yeah.
Maybe something you're not that attached to, or maybe you have to be quite attached to it in order to achieve it. But we'll
now
ponder that, won't we?
Yes, I was going to say, now you've started the next episode before we've had a chance to discuss it.
But that's a whole big thing. So we'll come back to things like goal setting in future ones.
We will. And
also we'll definitely look at negative emotions. Is desiring something a negative emotion? I don't know. but we need to ponder emotions generally. Are we slaves to our emotions?
Yeah.
In fact, maybe one thing we ought to quickly mention now is, can you actually do anything about happiness? Because sometimes when I say to people that I am interested in happiness, they go, what's the point? You're either happy or you're not. Or they say, oh, you're so lucky, Chris, because you're a happy person. So, do you think, how much effect can we have on our...
we can have a huge effect on our happiness, because we're the only people who can affect our happiness. I can't really affect your happiness because I might not be feeding you the right food or...
Well, you can feed me curry and that will give me more happiness.
But it's the only person who can make you happy is yourself, because you can decide to be happy.
Yes.
I think. So that's...
Well, I think another episode we should look at is how much control people have over what happens to them. Because some people don't believe they have much agency or whatever. Some people think that the world just does things to them and that's where they're at. Whereas other people, like, for example, me, believe they have huge control over what they choose to do and what happens to them. And I sort of believe everything good and bad that happens to me is actually my fault. So, but let's delve into that on a future episode as well.
Okay.
Do you think?
Just get me started.
Would that be worth an episode?
Yes, I do think it would be worth an episode.
Yeah.
But the main thing we've got control over is how we react to whatever happens around us, because in so many ways we've got no control over what happens to us.
I think we can have a huge effect on our own happiness levels.
Yeah.
And I think there are...
I agree.
Even just techniques you can use, like looking back over your day and thinking about good things that have happened, so you kind of relive them a second time, for example.
Yeah.
I think there are lots of just simple little things which we will be covering on this podcast, which people can do, which will allow them just to pull more happiness out of each day.
Yeah.
And focusing on the good things and not the bad things. And there's a load of stuff you don't get taught at school. And they don't teach anything about this stuff at school, do they? Or at least they didn't at the school I went to, where we used to colour in Jesus's sandals. Not his actual sandals, obviously, but a picture of his sandals.
And I'm sure they taught you more than that. But
yeah, Latin. So practical things that can be done, we will be covering.
You've got to admit that Latin brings you some joy when you can answer my crossword questions. Yeah,
if it helps with... I just wonder whether it's worth 3 years of Latin so I can impress you and answer the occasional crossword question. I don't know.
Definitely.
So that's our intro to the podcast. We're going to cover all sorts of good stuff. Sally
we'll see you again,
yes,
I hope.
You'll be trying to get a word in.
I will. I'll get better at that.
You will.
I will get better at that.
You've got all the answers in your head. I'm going to try and pull them out for the listeners. We're going to finish each episode with a quote. Oh. And we've got a whole load of random ones in our container. So let's have that. And we're going to pick one for this very first episode. Okay. And we shall see what it is. The happiness quotation of the day.
Right, I'm just going to put my glasses on to make sure I do this correctly. So what have we got? The good you do today will be forgotten tomorrow. Do good anyway.
Ooh. Is that the Dalai Lama?
I think it's actually Mother Teresa. I think
they were the same person secretly, they weren't they? Yeah, Mother Teresa. So hang on, so that quote again was, the good you do today will be forgotten, but do good anyway.
Yeah.
So is she saying, don't do it because it's going to be remembered, just do it because it's the right thing to do?
That's exactly what she's saying. And that will bring you happiness to do it anyway.
And you can always do another good thing tomorrow, can't you? And the day after.
Yep. When you pick up some rubbish from the side of the road, or speak to somebody on the bus.
Yeah, and you do it because it feels good for you, as well as making the world a bit better. Well, because it feels good to make the world a bit better.
Yeah,
so
make me feel
just
good.
do good without any thought of it lasting.
No, exactly.
Longer.
It's just in the moment. Do it now. Do
well
good
said,
anyway.
Mother Teresa.
Yeah,
I
well,
like
she just did it. That was who she was. She lived it. That's the words I was looking for.
Excellent. Right. Well, that's the end of our introductory episode.
I think so.
Please do follow us, everybody. Click subscribe or whatever. We'll be available on all platforms. So whatever you like to use for your podcasts, add us to your list, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye.